Most people think that tiredness means that you need more sleep. But what if I told you it could be something else? My name is Dr. Kaur, and today we're going to flip our understanding around tiredness onto its head. We often think tiredness is physical exhaustion, but in reality, it could be so many other things. By the end of the video, you'll see tiredness in a new light. And more importantly, you'll know how to take control of it with some easy steps that you can implement today. Lesson number 1. Tiredness isn't always physical, it can be emotional as well. We've been conditioned to think that tiredness is always physical, but here's the truth. Tiredness also can be an emotional state. Our brain signals fatigue when it's emotionally overwhelmed, not just physically overwhelmed, but emotionally overwhelmed too. Recognizing this is a possibility can be a first step to overcoming it. So look, in terms of action point, I would say get a physical checkup done first so you can rule out any medical conditions, because sometimes we feel emotionally worried that there could be something physically wrong with us, and actually that could be it. Make sure there's nothing physically wrong that you can fix, maybe just with vitamins, or you could have a sleep issue that no one's recognized before. Once that's cleared, you'll feel emotionally a lot as well, and it could just clear up the emotional cause. But don't just assume that because you're tired you've got depression. Just if your GP or your doctor is saying that, you need to get a checkup done. It could be something physical, and especially do get checkup done if you don't think there's any reason to be depressed. Lesson number 2. You might think that you're tired just because you didn't get enough sleep, but sometimes it's because our brain is overwhelmed by life's demands. You can get a full night's sleep and still wake up drained because your mind might be overwhelmed by something that you have or haven't done. Then you know, okay, well, this isn't something to do with my body. This is something else. It could be that there's some thoughts that are really draining you, like I'm not good enough, or I should achieve more, or those thoughts could be the very thing that are draining you. An action point here to just rule that out would be to get a journal and track, when do you feel most tired? Is there a pattern? It could be that you feel more exhausted before a work meeting, and it could be that there's some thoughts going around in your head before that meeting about a particular person, or it could be social obligations that you're not really buzzing around. It could be that there's a person at that place that just drains you, and it's just the thought of being around them is draining you. Or is it around certain decision making that you've got to do? It will help you understand the triggers of the emotional exhaustion. Or it could be that there's a certain place that just drains you. If you go into the office, it could be a toxic workplace, and it feels like a hoover. Someone's just sucked out all the energy out of you. That's when you know you're walking into a toxic environment. Lesson number 3. Overcoming tiredness might mean that we've got to change our mental approach, not just drink more coffee. I love my coffee. The solution around physical tiredness isn't always a physical solution. It might be that you need to shift your mental state, and you'll get the best results from shifting your mental state. So we need to start observing what kind of thoughts really drain you, and try and shift it out, because we can tell that actually this is really going to make me feel tired. It could be things like, will I be able to do this? That could be zapping your energy that before you even try to do something. The truth is, when we're in the flow state, when we're in just flow and we're okay and we're content, we get energy from doing the task itself. When we're no longer in that state, we can create a lot of stress and fear through the overthinking. That's where all the energy is going. And it's that we need to let go of. It's the overthinking that's exhausting us. Sometimes we just need to talk to ourselves and say, I can achieve one thing at a time. I'm just going to take this one step, because just trying to plan it all out, just making me feel too tired. I'm just going to take this one step. And that can energize us to actually take the next step. For instance, say if you want to clean your house, sometimes instead of thinking about it, just taking one step to actually just a small, just get us going. And then we feel like, oh yeah, I can do this. And you're not thinking, you're actually doing something about it. You've got yourself out of that overthinking mode. So sometimes we just need to break things down into smaller pieces so that we don't get stuck into overthinking and we reduce that mental overwhelm. You can use the Pomodoro technique for 1 week and see how that works for you, where you work for 25 minutes and you take a 5-minute break. And that just helps you, okay, I'm 25 minutes and then I've got 5 minutes. I'm just going to keep going and see how far you get. And you'll find that you'll get most of your stuff done and more. And it allows you to break down the workload and really promotes focus. Like all I have to do is just focus for the next 25 minutes. Now, if you are looking to heal some of the emotional pain that you're going through and it's just too overwhelming for you to actually deal with it right now, then please do look in the resources section. I've got a new Toxic Detox membership and you get 30 days for free where once a month we'll meet and you can ask me anything. And you'll also get on a weekly basis trauma healing for you to actually implement in that week. So you can start healing and moving forward in your life. Lesson number 4. Sometimes the only thing we really need to do is create some boundaries. The fact that we don't have boundaries is what's draining us because we're thinking about the fact that we don't have boundaries. Often it makes us feel bad. And then we're wondering, how do I create boundaries? And we feel guilty about having boundaries and we can go on like this. So tiredness might not be that you need to rest. It might be that you need to create a boundary. That's why toxic relationships are so difficult and so draining because they are pushing boundaries all the time where you have none. And we don't get a chance to reset our nervous system, reset and connect with our emotions or our thoughts. We don't get that space because they don't give you the space because you don't have any boundaries. As human beings, we need space to be able to breathe, to be able to, we need that space to be able to be ourselves for a period of time. That's why boundaries are so important. So start noticing how you feel. Is it a specific person that's pushing your boundaries? Do you feel sometimes angry or anxious around them? How do you feel after speaking to certain people? Start noticing. How did you feel before? How do you feel after you're taking on board or listening to something? Do you feel better or do you feel worse? They're making you feel guilty about having a boundary in place. And what you need is to learn how to not feel guilty about needing something that's so natural for you. So an action point B, start learning how to create boundaries, really simple ones. Start really, really super small, like I'm going to go to sleep at a set time. And at that time, I'm not going to pick up the phone. Maybe you say no to a certain social engagement that drains you and you know you don't really want to go, or you're not really excited about something. So say no. Protect your time and your energy and your space is so important. And watch how you might feel better. Lesson number 5. Big tasks don't make you tired. It's the way your brain estimates the workload that actually makes you tired. You're not tired because the task is big. It's because your brain thinks it's impossible. That's why we get tired. That's why we procrastinate. We know what we need to do, but we can't do it. Procrastination is basically fear. If the brain thinks it's too big or it's too impossible, it will respond by making you tired. It's like a protection thing. So it's like you need to rest before you even start. Actually breaking things down into smaller pieces, then your brain will be like, yeah, I can do that. I can do this little step. And you just break it down bit by bit and you take that one step and then the next step and the next step. So take one task that you're feeling really overwhelmed with, that you feel tired just by thinking about it, and just break it down into one small thing. So for instance, if I was going to run a marathon, I would just take my trainers out. And then tomorrow I'd put them on and go for a walk around the block. And then I would run. So it's just breaking it down into smaller pieces. And then you feel that feeling of, yes, I can do this. And you feel more and more inspired, like you're moving towards something. That's the way to help the brain. And it will reduce the emotional fatigue that you feel. So we have uncovered that tiredness isn't always a physical thing or that you need more sleep. It can be emotional overwhelm or thoughts that you're thinking that are making you feel so tired. Or it could be a lack of boundaries, or it could be a toxic person or your nervous system. By shifting your mindset and implementing these steps to allow yourself to connect to you, you'll start to feel more energized and that it is possible for you to achieve whatever it is that you want to. And you can take control of your life. I would say always get some multivitamins, take them for a month and see how you feel. It could be as simple as that. If any of this resonated with you, please do like, subscribe, and share. Your support means so much. Sending you so much love. Till next time.